Cayman is a little bit of a different situation because Little Cayman was the more impact. Okay, and from the other service point of view, there are two different ways you can look at it, but ultimately I think because of human nature, it ends up being the same thing. So one thing could be that you lift the hurricane warnings. Okay, but the minute I lift the hurricane warnings, people goes, well, that's the same thing like an all clear.
Yeah. Okay.
The reality is like what Danny said earlier, is that the all clear is much more complicated than that. And I think for those in Little Cayman, I would beg you to allow the emergency services to get their job done. So that we can process and move forward with what we need to get done. Don't get in the way of the team that's coming over there to help the recovery process and help us get ourselves back on our feet and what have you. All right, and that's why we've left the warnings and we haven't given the all clear for the sister islands, because our emergency managers need to deal with what they have to deal with.
Mm-hmm. How important it is in your world, both of yours, to ensure that these protocols and the jargon that is used, not only the jargon, but actually what actually happens, that they are observed?
It's so important, because at the end of the day, if we can't respond, i.e. debris clearance or respond to emergencies, then, it can be a real significant issue. So again, as I say, encouraging people to stay off the road, avoiding unnecessary travel, so we can clear up the roads. So the sooner we can clear up the roads, it means that the easier it is to get around.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, there are a lot of other hidden hazards that we want to talk about again today. Yes, the all clear has been given, but marine and coastal warnings remain in effect. And we are asking the public to refrain from coastlines. And of course, this is a little more difficult in the likes of the sister islands, in particular Little Cayman. But please do not go near the water today. They are still extremely hazardous. We really don't want reports of people windsurfing, surfing, and the like, because again, that puts your life at risk. It puts the emergency responders' life at risk. And we are humbly asking you, or begging you, really not to do that. And again, any unnecessary travel, please don't do so. It's just really important that we can get things back up to speed. I think a sign of a very good response is being able to recover very, very quickly.
Yes.
Given that the evening was pretty quiet, obviously recovery planning started very early last night. So we've got the sort of protocols and policies and whatever SOPs in place. We know what the plan is, but we ask the public to help us with that. And again, avoid any unnecessary travel.
Okay, John.
I just want to speak a little bit different side of that.
Okay.
And when we're talking about the jargon, please understand, you come in here and you ask me, what does a hurricane warning mean? And when you lift a hurricane warning, what that means,
Yes.
and what an all clear means, those are fine. And we put those on paper down. We do public education and all that kind of stuff. But human nature is human nature. Okay? And to be fair and stuff like that is that as soon as you see sunshine out there on the backside of a storm, human nature is to try and start to get yourself out and see what's going on out there and what have you. And so in terms of the jargon that we use, but also the public education that we do and stuff like that, we're trying to get the general public to think like disaster managers in some form or fashion, to have a greater appreciation for the job that has to be done. Okay, so it's not just about putting it out, but it's also about making sure we get the messaging right so that the public understands what we're doing and why we're doing what we're doing.
Excellent. Danny?
Yeah, I just have to agree with John. It's great. We spent a lot of time together over the last 3 days, and we're still talking, which is always a great sign. My work husband here at John Tibbetts. Yeah, again, I think that's it. Just keeping abreast. We are getting a lot of questions about the schools not opening today.
Okay.
Again, that is a decision. A decision looking at risk, but also obviously different stakeholders in the NEAC, and that decision taken out of safety. And unpredictable. So it's an internal debrief conversation we're having, friends from education, from different stakeholders. But again, we have to. This is made on the risk at the time, and again, that's it is, and I think it's being aware of why those decisions are made. We do see the social media feed question about that, and I think the decision was made early to ensure that. Obviously, it's one less thing to worry about had the situation turned uglier than it was or than it is. Again, it's still a lot to logistics going on in the background to ensure that Cayman can get back on its feet very, very quickly. We have been incredibly lucky, and again, that's what we need to focus on. That I have no doubt schools will be returning tomorrow, and anything clean up will be done. But again, that's those decisions are made at the time with the information that is there with the stakeholders who are leading on that.
Okay. One of our listeners want to know how are we as far as the predictions that were made at the start of the season or before the start of the hurricane season in terms of the frequency, how many hurricanes we're likely to have.
We don't talk about that.
How close are we to those predictions, or are we?
Well, first of all, this storm is number 18. All right, this is the 18th system for the year. News flash for you is that I know that we just had this system go through. Seagull isn't done.
Yeah.
All right, and to be honest with you, one of the things I've been looking at since the start of the year is that from the midpoint to the latter stages of the hurricane season, we would have what we could define as a La Nina system coming into effect, as it were. And it does mean that the possibility for systems to form up in the latter part of the season and even into December it exists. And I think it's a bit stronger argument this year than in a normal year. How are we doing with the predictions? The numbers are piling up. And I take it that, to be honest with you, one of the things that the Cayman Islands people can't say this year, and that is, if we've had an active season predicted, and we in the Cayman Islands didn't get it, because we sure had our fair share of storms here.
We certainly have. Okay, we're going to go to our headline news at 9 o'clock. We want to let you know that our phone lines are open if you have any questions or comments for Mr. Tibbetts or Ms. Coleman. Our toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. They have to leave for 9 o'clock.
Sorry,
right?
we do have 9 o'clock. Apologies for that.
Okay, that's okay.
We can come back on later on today. It's just lots of things still going on in the activity operational side of things that we need to get actioned.
Excellent. So use the time that we have then to give you an opportunity for some closing comments, both of you. John first, and then Danny afterwards.
Well, I think the storm obviously has passed us now and it is well on its way. Again, I reach out to the people in